In this episode, we're going to talk about more best villain vehicles from the 80s. This time, they have legs and they know how to use them. Hello fellow dorks and dorkettes, and welcome to Nostalgia Syndrome. In this episode, we're going to talk about more best villain vehicles from the 80s. This time, these are vehicles that have legs. These are legs that help propel them onto the battlefield, help them wreak havoc on the heroes, just look cool with legs. Now, this is the third episode that I've done of Best Villain Vehicles. The last one I did was around Halloween, and that was insect-based vehicles. Now, a lot of them used legs to get around, but this is just slightly different. And also, like I said, this is the third Villains Vehicle episode that I've done, and sooner or later I'll get to some hero vehicles, but you know, to be honest, hero vehicles just don't have the same pizzazz that the villain vehicles have. I mean, villains, they're all about the personality in their rides, and I'm all about that. Let's kick things off with number 1. Now, this entry could have been on an earlier episode of the best villain vehicles based on animals, but that was from cartoons. Now, this vehicle never made an appearance in a cartoon, but he made a great toy, and that is Night Stalker from the Masters of the Universe line. Released by Mattel in 1985, this majestic stallion, awesome gold and purple paint scheme, just a great vehicle, and for all intents and purposes, it's just a robotic horse. It did have a cannon on top that could help fight off the good guys. Now, interesting little fact, on the model sheet for the toy, it was named Nightmare, which I think is a more fitting name compared to Night Stalker, which sounds like the infamous 80s serial killer Richard Ramirez. Anyway, this robotic horse had all the characteristics of a horse, except it was a robot. It could run at super fast speeds, it could climb rocks with ease with its strength, and it had a laser cannon, like I said. Now, this toy, you could either get it packed alone or came in a 2-pack with Jitsu, which was the awesome karate-chopping Skeletor minion. Now, Night Stalker was a repaint of Strider. They both came out at the exact same time. One was Skeletor, one was He-Man. One was evil, one was heroic. Now, like I said, Night Stalker came packaged with Jitsu in some of the packaging that you could find. Strider came packed with Fisto. So you had the two dudes with bigger, bulkier, combative hands packed with the horse. Which doesn't make a lot of sense, because what are you going to do, ride by and punch somebody? Well, actually, that would be pretty cool. Anyway, strike that. That would be pretty cool, to run by and karate chop somebody or punch them. Yeah, that'd be pretty neat. Anyway, as I get sidetracked, like I said, this robotic horse has 4 legs, so it appears on the list, and like I said, it could have been teamed up in the based on animals, but it never made an appearance in the cartoon. It made a couple appearances in the mini comic, but that was about it. So anyway, on to number 2. Number 2 is the Beast Walker from the Wheeled Warriors line, released by Mattel in 1985. The Beast Walker was a 4-legged troop transport for the Monster Minds. Those were the villains from the Wheeled Warriors line. Those were the ones that were created by plants, and yeah, they were really cool. But anyway, the Beast Walker was a bigger and motorized toy that the Monster Mind vehicles, well, one of them could sit on top and chug along with it as it walked along. It even had pinchers in the front that were spring-loaded that it could grab people or vehicles, and has a feature that not a lot of toys have, a brain chamber. On top of having a brain chamber, it came decked out with things like the Beast Gun and the Flare Terror Gun and the Beast Bazooka Gun. Like with all the toys in this toy line, you could pop those off and put them onto other vehicles, which was a really neat feature of the toy. The whole modular nature of the Wheeled Warriors toys was great, and it should have been a toy line that flourished. Unfortunately, it didn't really go anywhere. I mean, it had a great cartoon, and the Beast Walker made a few appearances on it, but unfortunately, it didn't last. Maybe part of the trouble was that the figures that came with the vehicles didn't really coincide with those seen in the cartoon. That would have really, I think, made it a bigger selling point, because you were just getting generic little semi-posable people with the vehicles. Now, if they actually were characters from the cartoon, kids would have had a bigger connection to them. But anyway, that's for another day. We're just talking about the Beast Walker right now. And this awesome motorized vehicle carrier with its grinning face, its brain chamber, its guns. I mean, it was just really awesome. Number 3 on the list might be controversial, but hear me out. It has legs, but it's the Cobra Pogo, or the Battle Ballistic Ball, or whatever silly name it had as well. Now, this is hailed as one of the sillier Cobra vehicles, but it really is genius in its simplicity. I mean, it's a rocket-powered pogo ball. I mean, other than the rocket part, I'm sure you save on fuel with having just big springs to bounce you around. But this toy was great. This was one that I actually had. It was on the smaller side, so it was a little bit cheaper. But you could open up the top and put a character inside and close the bubbled compartment again. And the toy's legs weren't spring-loaded, but they had great detail molded into them that looked like it was. Now, the only reason I say this is controversial because it doesn't walk with the legs, but it uses them to jump. So that's good enough for me. It has legs, it knows how to use them, and it jumps across the battlefield, crushing its foes, blasting them with lasers, and shooting rockets. I mean, how awesome is that? Yes, a little silly. I mean, I can see Cobra Commander getting drunk at the officers' club at a Cobra resort somewhere, just jotting down on cocktail napkins for things to give to Destro and Mars to make. And this was probably one of his crazier ideas, but it's neat nonetheless. But the Cobra Pogo was released by Hasbro in 1987, and it became synonymous with the armored Cobra Commander. At least he stands by his work, and he's not afraid to be seen in it, so points for that as well. Number 4 on the list is Trigor from the Power Lords line. Released by Revell in 1983, Trigor was Arcus's main vehicle. Now, this looks like a space bug, but it has 3 legs, albeit the toy, the legs are on wheels. Now, I don't know if it was real, if they would walk on the 3 legs, or the wheels were actually part of the actual creature. So, either way, it uses legs, either to roll or to walk. And it's just so darn creepy looking. Most of the designs from the Power Lord line were created by Wayne Barlow, who is a talented artist, but yeah, he really gets out there with his sci-fi infused art style. And this toy is no exception. Like I said, it's a space pincher bug with pulsating veins on its side, big sacks of organs or blood or something, I don't know, but again, it uses 3 legs to get around, so it appears on the list. Now, number 5 is probably the biggest vehicle toy to ever appear on 4 legs, and that is the ATAT, or ATAT. However you say it, it was an awesome toy. This was something that a lot of us back in the day wanted so badly, but it had a very hefty price tag. And if we're talking about the AT-AT, we might as well throw in the ATST, which was the 2-legged little chicken walker. Now, that's what I grew up calling it, the chicken walker. But that had 2 legs. The ATAT had 4. Now the ATAT was a lot bigger, a massive battle center that walked across the snowy plains of Hoth, just destroying everything in its path. Now the toy was awesome because the legs actually moved. You could reach inside. In the head, you had a little joystick to go up and down, left and right, and I think it even had laser blasts if we pushed a button, and maybe light up feature. I never got to play with one as a kid, so either I'm shooting straight or I just made that up to make it even more awesome. Either way, great toy, 4 legs, massive, just, I know I say awesome too much, but awesome. I mean, this thing was totally radical, and I mean, Star Wars at the time was some of the biggest toys. I know now they kind of get shooed to the side because it's been a constant machine since then, but man, the AT-AT was probably one of the sweetest toys, probably a grail item on a lot of kids' wish lists growing up. Just awesome. Anyway, this was 5 best villain vehicles from the 80s with legs. Now, I'm sure there's more that I'm missing, and maybe I'll do a follow-up to this, but I need to do the hero follow-up first. Now, there's some great hero vehicles with legs, and I kind of mentioned one already, but yeah, villains really know how to design a vehicle. They add a lot of personality that heroes just skimp on. Villains, I mean, they'd rather something look cool than actually be functional, like the pogo ball. But I think that could be very functional. Yeah, imagine that thing crashing down in the middle of a battlefield with just Cobra Commander shrieking with laughter the whole time as he's slamming down on people. Man, that's creepy. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you got something to say, please leave a comment. I love reading them, and I love getting back to everybody. And if you're new around here and you enjoyed this, or any of the episodes that YouTube is recommending down here, please hit subscribe. And if you hit that little bell icon, you'll be notified whenever there's a new episode. So anyway, until next time, thanks for watching. Keep being rad, and stay dorky.